Found safe, how the family reacted.
I'm Andrew Banstra with Wisconsin men's basketball here in Indianapolis. Could they finish off their run in the Big Ten tournament?
And it was a sea of green in downtown Madison for the 25th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. We'll take you there. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. One person is injured after a shooting this morning at the Harmony Apartments on Madison's east side. Madison Police Department officers responded to the 100 block of Milky Way just after 4 a.m. on Sunday due to multiple reports of shots fired. MPD says that when they arrived, they found one person with a gunshot wound, who was then taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police believe the shots were fired from inside a unit of the Harmony apartment complex. This afternoon, News 3 Now spoke with a woman who did not want to go on camera, but says her brother lives in the unit next to where the shots were fired. She says her brother was in his residence during the shooting and that there are multiple bullet holes and items damaged in his room. She says that he's lucky to be alive. Now, MPD says to please contact them because the investigation is ongoing. And if you have any information, reach out to Madison Area Crime Stoppers at 608-266-6014. Middleton Fire Department responded to a fire near Weber and Century Avenue. According to MFD, the fire started at 4:34 p.m. Saturday afternoon. Crews rescued 2 people from the second story of the home. MFD says everyone in the home evacuated safely. The fire department said at least 10 people are now displaced. Unfortunately, a pet cat died after the fire due to smoke inhalation. The fire damage was worth up to $250,000. MFD says the cause of the fire is ruled as an accident. Heavy winds and discarded smoking materials likely contributed to the fire. 47-year-old Rebecca Osmond, who's been missing since February, was found safe today, according to the Beloit Police Department. Our Merrill Hubbard met with her family in Beloit when they found out the news.
Since February 22nd, family, friends, and loved ones say they've been losing sleep with the question, where is Rebecca Osmond? To try to get answers and raise awareness over her disappearance, they organized a vigil here in Beloit. Now, just minutes before the vigil started, Rebecca's sister got a phone call saying Rebecca's been found.
Rebecca is okay. She is in Tampa. She lost her phone.
A call from the Beloit Police Department took a weight off of Stacy Raybon's shoulders.
I am so in shock right now.
After 3 weeks of not hearing from her sister, she anticipated the worst.
Of course, I'm very happy. I'm a little bit angry. I'm very relieved because for the last 2 weeks, I thought something bad had happened to her. I thought she was dead.
According to the Beloit Police Department, Rebecca left Beloit February 22nd and was believed to have arrived in Tampa, Florida via Amtrak train 2 days later. But her phone was off, which friends say wasn't normal.
I knew that she would not just disappear. I knew that there was a reason she wasn't contacting us. She couldn't contact us for whatever reason.
Jessica Juneau was one of Rebecca's friends who showed up for the vigil, which they say turned into more of a reunion after they found out the news.
I'm just glad my best friend was found. Because we promised we would grow old to each other, and we are going to grow old with each other, so I'm so happy.
Though the reason for Rebecca going off-grid is still unknown, her sister says she won't stop trying to find out what happened.
I don't think I could ever quit because it would injure me. It would injure my spirit every day if I just didn't know where she was and if she was okay.
Although Rebecca's been located, her family still has questions. They are waiting to hear more from authorities and from Rebecca directly. Reporting in Beloit, Merrill Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Meryl, thank you, and we're certainly relieved that she's still among us. The Beloit Police Department posted an update on their Facebook page stating, quote, Rebecca has been located, and thank you to the community and her family for all of your concern. Let's get a look at your first warn forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, what should we expect?
We are getting ready for a quiet St. Patrick's Day, but we're also getting ready for another round of snow. Some snow fell late last night through early this morning. Based on our snow vision estimated accumulation, some parts of southern Wisconsin picked up between 2 to 4 inches of snow, but most of that stayed outside of our coverage area, except for parts of Jefferson, as well as Rock and certainly Walworth counties picking up most of that snow. But we saw sunshine this afternoon, so hopefully some of that has been melting. Upper 20s to low 30s for temperatures. It's 30 in Mineral Point, 31 Platteville, 30 in Janesville, 30 in Waukesha, 32 in Verona, and 26 there in Sun Prairie. We're going to sit underneath clear to mostly clear conditions tonight, but we're going to be in for a breezy Monday. Winds are going to be gusting 40 to 45 miles per hour into the afternoon hours. So if you're going to be traveling west or east, just know that it is going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride. But upper 20s to low 30s tonight. As I mentioned, it is going to be quiet tomorrow, but we are getting ready for even more snow, or at least a chance for more snow. And that arrives starting on Wednesday. So we'll time that out in the full forecast.
All right, sounds good. Blaze, we'll see you in just a bit. No time to dwell on the sting of the Big Ten championship loss because the madness is officially here. The bracket is out and Wisconsin is in. Sports Director Zach Hanley joins us now to let us know where the Badgers are going dancing.
Jalen, for the 28th time in school history, Wisconsin is headed to the NCAA tournament. The Badgers earned the 3 seed in the East, so instead of playing in Milwaukee like we all thought, it's time to dance in Denver. Greg Gard's squad will face off against 14 seed Montana on Thursday at 12:30. UW is 3-0 all-time against the Grizz, including a first-round meeting back in 2012. If Wisconsin wins Thursday, they'll face the winner of BYU and VCU on Saturday.
Being in Milwaukee, that would have been pretty cool. Just to hear the experiences that, Gillian, or Carter and Steve, some of those guys got to experience 3 years ago, I think now. But we're happy with the draw. Playing one of my roommates ahead at Wofford, who's at Montana now, so that's kind of cool.
And we'll have much more on Wisconsin's matchup with Montana and their mindset heading into the tourney after coming up short today in Indy. That's later in sports.
Sounds good, Zach. We'll see you then. A local figure skater punched her ticket to compete in the Midwest Adult Figure Skating Competition. Teresa Lampy says she has been skating since she could walk and has poured 25 years into her craft. We had the chance to catch up with Teresa, who is just 5 days from competing in a lifelong dream.
This step for going to adult sectionals is very big for me, and it's very important because I've worked for the past, I was remembering at home, I've been working on this for the past 6 years. Ever since I found out about that I can go and compete at adult sectionals, I wanted to go to adult sectionals.
Teresa will compete next weekend from Friday through Sunday right here in Madison. For the 25th year, Madisonians put on their best green outfits for the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. Ahead of the holiday Monday, icons like St. Patrick himself, leprechauns, and even Bucky the Badger took to the street in celebration. We caught up with some of the parade watchers to ask what their favorite part of St. Patrick's Day is and how they'll be celebrating Monday.
My favorite part of St. Patrick's Day is being outside with friends because it's always a beautiful day.
My favorite part is probably the beer.
I'm going to get a Reuben and a Guinness tomorrow.
My favorite part is definitely hanging out with friends and family.
We will be going to karaoke tomorrow and singing Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners, as well as other Irish songs.
And doing a jig.
Doing a jig.
Hey, you gotta respect it. Proceeds from the parade are being donated to local charities, the UW Carbone Cancer Center and Logan's Heart and Smiles. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 10, Blaze returns with a complete look of your first warn forecast. Plus, we break down the legal challenges President Trump's recent immigration crackdown. And tax season is not slowing down despite the recent upheavals at the IRS. Why that is next. Your first warn forecast with the meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze.
And we are in for a quiet Sunday night. Mostly clear to partly cloudy as those clouds mainly stay further north and west. Breezy but warm for your St. Patrick's Day. And then we get ready for our next alert day. On Wednesday, that system continues to look as though it's going to be a decent sized low pressure system that's going to bring not only the chance for an isolated thunderstorm, mainly staying non-severe, but also snow and windy conditions as we go mainly Wednesday into your Wednesday night. So we'll start big and then we'll bring it back home. Here's that next low pressure system moving in starting late Tuesday night, but mainly early Wednesday morning, and will continue to move its way through parts of the Midwest. Models are in agreement that this low pressure system center is probably going to stay further off to our south. So more of that moisture is going to be off to our south as well. And we won't have as much lake effect influence, whether that's rain or lake effect snow as well. But as we go through the afternoon, we're mainly going to stay with rain, but then temperatures will be dropping into the 40s by the afternoon after starting out in the 50s fairly early in your Wednesday. And then we'll eventually slip below freezing, and we'll watch as that rain turns over to a rain-snow mix, wrapping up as we go into those early morning hours on Thursday. So again, a stray shower or thunderstorm can't be ruled out Tuesday night, but the bulk of that moisture moves in as we go throughout your Wednesday. We're already at 7:30 at night on Wednesday, and we're still dealing with rain. That changeover may happen towards the late afternoon, and depending on when it does, that's obviously going to change how much snow we receive. But if we keep that rain around for longer, that's going to limit how much snow we ultimately get here across central and southern Wisconsin. And then that wraps up as we go into the early morning hours on your Thursday. General consensus and agreement is northwestern parts of Wisconsin probably going to pick up between 2 to 4 inches of this wet, heavy snow. Further to the south, we're looking at maybe an inch at best. But again, if we cool down sooner by at least the mid-afternoon, we'll likely pick up a few inches here across southern Wisconsin. And again, this is going to be that wet, heavy snow, but most of that is going to occur hopefully Wednesday night into Thursday when we're all asleep and not on the roads. And then we're back into the 40s by Thursday afternoon, so a lot of that is going to melt as well. 40s, 50s, and maybe even a few low 60s for your St. Patrick's Day, starting off the work week on the warm but breezy side. Some of those gusts could be upwards of, say, 40, 45 miles per hour to the south. So if you're traveling west or east, just make sure that you are holding on to that steering wheel tight. 40s by the afternoon, 50s by 3. We're hanging out in those low to mid 50s by the late afternoon on your Monday. And I have to just quickly touch that we are finally wrapping up what is probably our first severe weather outbreak of 2025. These are all of the storm reports over the last 48 hours. Here's a look at those tornado reports. And Jalen and folks at home, some of these tornadoes, the preliminary or the first kind of estimation of their ratings are high-end EF4s. Wow. And so if we get our first EF5, this will, I think, be the first one in since Joplin, which I believe occurred back in the 2010s. So it's been over 10 years since we've had an EF5 here in the States. Hopefully it stays that low, but unfortunately there have been a number of deaths with this severe weather outbreak, so our hearts are with those families affected. Thankfully, we did not see any tornadoes, but we did have our own wind reports. And as you saw in the 10-day forecast, no severe weather in the forecast, just that kind of big system with rain and snow as the main precipitation Tuesday night into Thursday.
Yeah, you just mentioned Joplin, Missouri before. I worked here. I worked down there and lived in Joplin for almost 4 years. And there's not a day that goes by where the Joplin tornado isn't mentioned in town.
Yeah, that was, I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure that was the country's last official EF5 rating, maybe an F5 because we switched the scaling. But yeah, some of these tornadoes, there's been at least 2 EF4s and one of them was a high end, so kind of bordering that low EF5.
My thoughts are certainly with those impacted. Thank you, Blaze. While the sale of raw milk across state lines is prohibited, sales of raw milk cheese are legal as long as it is aged for at least 60 days before landing on store shelves. But a new study suggests that the bird flu virus is still stable and infectious in raw milk cheese for months. The researchers made many cheeses with milk spiked with bird flu. They used 3 pH levels and all were in acidic range. They found levels of the virus remain infectious for full 2-month aging periods in 2 cheeses produced at the lower acidic levels. However, the researchers say no live virus was detected in the cheese produced at the lowest pH level, which is the most acidic. That suggests that making raw milk cheese more acidic may kill the virus and make the cheese safer to eat. The deadline for Americans to file their taxes is now less than a month away. The Internal Revenue Service The government agency tasked with collecting those taxes and issuing refunds may face some challenges this year. The agency, like many other government departments, has faced upheaval since the Trump administration took over. Over the past 7 weeks, the key top executives have left the IRS, and about 6,700 probationary employees lost their jobs last month despite the upheaval. Tax professionals tell CNN and other news outlets they are not seeing any problems with people filing their taxes or getting refunds. But there does seem to be a slowdown with people who have amended their taxes in recent years, and they are trying to set up a payment plan. A federal judge in D.C. has blocked the Trump administration from using a wartime law from the 1700s to pursue deportations of Venezuelan migrants that are accused of having ties to a criminal gang. As CBS's Christian Benavides reports, this comes as the Trump administration is doubling down on pursuing the deportation of a protest organizer at Columbia University.
The government of El Salvador released images Sunday showing what they say are 261 gang members deported from the U.S., mainly from Venezuela, that will be held in detention by that country. The announcement comes after a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from invoking a 1798 law called the Alien Enemies Act. The law would allow the arrest and deportation without typical due process of Venezuelan migrants who are accused of being members of the South American gang, Tren de Aragua. The judge in Washington blocked deportations with a 14-day restraining order. He said planes already in the air carrying deportees should turn around. It's unclear if the Trump administration violated that order.
We want to get rid of Tren de Aragua gang members. They're terrorists too. The president designated them, asked me to designate, and I did, as a terrorist organization. We want to get rid of them as well. We don't want terrorists in America. I don't know how hard that is to understand.
On Face the Nation, Secretary of State Marco Rubio also defended the administration's move to begin deportation proceedings against Mahmoud Khalil, a U.S. permanent resident who organized pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University.
If he had told us, I'm going over there, and I'm going over there to become the spokesperson and one of the leaders of a movement that's going to turn one of your allegedly elite colleges upside down, people can't even go to school, library buildings being vandalized, we never would have let him in.
Meantime, concerns over tariffs still hang heavy for investors. The U.S. stock market will seek to recover Monday after a bruising week, which saw the worst losses in 2 years. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
And coming up in sports, it's on to the Frozen Four for the Wisconsin women's hockey team. Why they're just focused on getting through Monday's practice. Next on News 3 Now.
For the second straight year, the Badgers came up short in the Big Ten title game, and their reward for playing 4 games in 4 days, not an extra day of rest or a short drive to Milwaukee. Instead, Greg Gard and company are headed to Denver to take on a red-hot Montana team who's won 14 of their last 15 games. But there's no time to dwell, as Andrew Bancher explains from Indy. This group plans to use it all as motivation.
The Badgers donned shirts this week reading, "Doubt us." No one thought Wisconsin could win 26 games this season, let alone reach a Big Ten title game. They told me if one good thing came out of today's loss, it added fuel to their fire.
I mean, we'll just definitely have to use it as fuel for sure. It hurts to lose, and I'm pretty sure you guys can tell it on our face and our reaction in the selection show. But yeah, we're gonna turn around and come together and just do what we've been doing all year, just compete.
This is only fuel to a fire. I mean, obviously we want to come out of here with a win, but didn't turn out that way, and we're going to move on. We're going to learn from it, but I'm proud of these guys. Fought really hard until the end. It was a tough tournament, but we can't just kind of dwell on the loss. We're going to look back and see all the success we went throughout this tournament.
Every loss is a learning lesson, and every time this year we have taken one on the chin. We've done a great job bouncing back, learning from it, not dwelling on it. Look forward, not backwards.
This is just fuel for us, and the rest of the season, and our confidence is not waver from this. We're going to learn from this game, and we're going to take all that built up anger and all that stuff and just do good in this March Madness.
Crowd up and look. Boom.
Greg Gard pointed out that before the season, the Badgers were picked to finish 12th in the Big Ten, adding that if they have a 3-seed in March Madness, that must mean they're one of the best 12 teams in the country. At Gamebridge Fieldhouse, Andrew Banstrut, News 3 Sports.
So here's a look at Wisconsin's quad in the East region. Wisconsin and Montana will tip off on Thursday at 12:30 our time. Last time the Badgers played the Grizz in the tournament was 2012. UW won that game and ended up advancing to the Sweet 16 that season. Well, for the 16th time in school history, Wisconsin women's hockey is headed to the Frozen Four. Their opponent in the semifinals, none other than border battle rival Minnesota, a team they've beaten 5 times this season. 2 wins this weekend gives UW their 8th national championship and 38 wins, which would be a program best. But to do all of that, the Badgers have to get through Monday's practice first.
One game at a time, as cliche as that is, it's just shift after shift, being consistent, and it starts Monday. As Coach said, Monday always comes. So yeah, we're gonna get right back to work. And as sweet as this win was, and it put us in a position to go next weekend to Minneapolis, it's more so just gonna be that first game, and that's all we're concerned about.
Hey, I remembered this time.
Yeah.
I didn't toss the break.
Hey,
yesterday.
As I said, you're a professional, so it's all right. It's just the muscle memory kicking in. But let's get to the tournament now. I mean, March is here. They're dancing.
They are. And I think you could tell by that sound that Andrew sent back that those guys are ready. I mean, obviously you don't want to go into the big dance coming off a loss, but like Carter Gilmore said, every time that they had a loss, they bounced back, and they usually went on a run. So hopefully get a couple wins, 4 or 5.
It just seems like this team in particular just has a different level of grit than last year's. Last year's I feel as if was pretty talented, but this one, I don't know, maybe it's just the veteran guys, the senior leadership that they have that, you know, just gives them a little bit more of an extra edge.
And they play really good offense. And really good defense, and that you need both to make a deep run, and they have that. They have the success, the keys to the success. Now they just have to go do it, and that's why March is the best.
Before they head to Denver, though, they should probably stop by the women's hockey team real quick, fist bump with them, get some of that championship pedigree.
Right.
That way they can carry that into March Madness themselves. But all right, sounds good. Thank you, Zach. We'll be back with more after the break. Quick, are you going to do a deep dive of Montana basketball before heading out west?
No.
No?
No. Only thing I'll know is that they won 14 of their last 15 games. They play in the Big Sky, but the Badgers play in the Big Ten. That's
fair.
Yeah.
Who, North Dakota, like Idaho State, who else is in that conference?
It doesn't matter. They're winning the first game.
All
They're
right.
like 16.5 point favorites.
I will hold you to it. I'll hold you to it. All right, Blaze, what should we expect as we head into the work week?
Starting off on the partly cloudy skies in the 20s, and then we're in the 50s by the afternoon, and we gear up for that alert day Wednesday. Rain, snow, and windy conditions expected to wrap up early Thursday.
Sounds good. We'll see you all back here tomorrow.